Have you ever thought about being paid $60,000 to live in a place that feels like a fairy tale? A charming Swiss mountain town is offering this opportunity, but there's a catch that's giving people pause. In December 2020, the ancient bell of Albanen's church tower rang for the last time, its final chime echoing through empty streets like a farewell. For over 300 years, the bell had set the rhythm of life in the town. Now, as Mayor B. Jost examined its broken mechanism, maintained by the same family for generations, he heard a more troubling sound, the rumble of moving trucks. 3 more families with children were leaving Albanen for good. The town was losing not just residents but its heart and future. Mayor Jost watched, powerless, as mattresses were strapped to car roofs and boxes of toys filled the trucks. Later, he walked through the abandoned schoolhouse, where the silence was deafening. The once lively classroom stood empty, with hooks on the walls where backpacks used to hang. A single crayon drawing of Albanen's mountainside and wooden chalets fluttered in the cold draft, a quiet reminder of what was slipping away. When even the church bell stops ringing, you know something has to change, Mayor Jost would later recall, his voice heavy with emotion. The bell's silence became a wake-up call that reverberated through the community, far more powerfully than its metallic toll ever had. Meanwhile, in another part of Albanen, 2 lifelong residents, Marie and Thomas Weber, were fighting their own battle to keep the town's only grocery store open. With the population down to just 243 people, their family business of 3 generations was barely surviving. They had already shortened their hours and let go of their only employee, Emma Brunner, who had worked there for 25 years. Emma's departure hit particularly hard. She was more than an employee. She was the town's unofficial news channel, connecting residents with her cheerful updates and carrying inquiries about their families. The crisis at Weber's store ignited a turning point that would play a key role in the town's revival. Emma, despite losing her job, refused to leave Albanen. Instead, she transformed her small garden into a community vegetable plot, teaching local children about growing food and sustainability. This informal gathering spot would later become the seat of something much bigger. Albanen sits perched high in the Swiss Alps, 4,265 feet above sea level, in the canton of Valais. It's the kind of place where traditional wooden chalets with flower-filled window boxes dot the mountainside, and where the air is so clean it makes your lungs sing. But beneath this postcard-perfect surface, a crisis was unfolding that threatened to turn this paradise into a ghost town. The situation reached a breaking point when the local postal service announced plans to close the town's post office, the last remaining government service in Albanen. This news catalyzed a group of young residents led by Lisa Mueller, whose family had lived in Albanen for 5 generations. Lisa, a 32-year-old environmental engineer who had recently returned from working in Geneva, refused to watch her hometown disappear. Working late into the night at her grandmother's kitchen table, Lisa and her childhood friend, Marco Steiner, now a financial advisor in Zurich, drafted a bold proposal: pay people to move to their town. Not just a small amount, but a significant sum, 25,000 Swiss francs, about $25,000 per adult, and 10,000 Swiss francs, about $10,000 per child. For a family of 4, that meant potentially receiving $60,000 to make Albanen their home. However, Lisa and Marco's involvement went deeper than just the proposal. They had their own stake in the game. They had fallen in love during their campaign to save the town, their long-distance relationship flourishing amid strategy sessions and community meetings. Their personal story would become intertwined with Albanen's revival in unexpected ways. The proposal sparked heated debates in the town council. Some older residents, led by Heinrich Zaren, the 75-year-old former town clerk, worried about preserving the town's traditional character. Heinrich had watched his own children leave for bigger cities, and his opposition to the plan masked a deeper fear that changing too much might erase the town he had known and loved. Others feared the money would attract people who wouldn't stay long-term, but Lisa and her group had done their homework. They'd studied similar cases across Switzerland, like the nearly extinct village of Kippel, which had dwindled to just 13 residents and was being forced to transform itself into a hotel resort to survive. Mayor Jost saw the potential in their plan. He understood that Albanen had something special to offer: phenomenal views that made you stop and stare, air quality that city dwellers could only dream of, and sunshine that seemed to last forever. The town wasn't isolated either. The famous spa town of Leukerbad was just 4 miles away, and the cities of Visp and Sion were only a 35-minute drive. A surprising alley emerged in Heinrich's grandson, Lucas Zaren, a 28-year-old software developer who had reluctantly left Albanen for work in Basel. Lucas proposed a modern twist to the initiative, creating a digital platform to connect potential newcomers with current residents, allowing them to experience the community virtually before making the move. His grandfather's opposition softened as he watched Lucas channel his technical skills into preserving their hometown's future. But here's where the catch comes in. The town council didn't just want any newcomers. They wanted people who would truly commit to rebuilding the community. So they set some strict requirements. First, you had to be under 45 years old. This wasn't about discrimination, it was about ensuring long-term sustainability. The bigger hurdle: you needed to be a Swiss citizen or hold a C residence permit. For European Union citizens, That meant living in Switzerland for 5 years first. For Americans, Canadians, and Brits, the waiting period doubled to 10 years. Plus, you had to invest at least 200,000 Swiss francs, about $200,000, into property and commit to staying for at least 10 years. Leave early, and you'd have to return every franc of the incentive. As these requirements were being finalized, something unexpected happened. The Weber's grocery store became an unlikely symbol of hope. Marie and Thomas' daughter, Ava, who had moved to Zurich for work years ago, saw the town's initiative as a sign. She and her husband, David Kellerer, a chef trained in some of Zurich's finest restaurants, decided to move back home, bringing their 2 young children with them. Ava and David's return sparked a transformation. They invested their savings into modernizing the family store, adding a small cafe where residents could gather. David's culinary expertise led to the creation of Taste of Albanin, a weekly farmers market featuring local products and traditional Swiss dishes with a modern twist. Emma Brunner, the former store employee, found herself back in the heart of the community, managing the market and teaching cooking classes alongside David. The town's initiative started gaining attention worldwide. Journalists flocked to Albanin, captivated by the story of a community fighting to preserve its way of life. Mayor Joss found himself explaining the town's vision again and again. This wasn't just about paying people to move there, it was about building a sustainable future. The plan began showing results. Dr. Andreas Müller and his family were among the first to take advantage of the offer. Dr. Müller learned about Albanin's initiative during a grueling night shift at Basel University Hospital. Scrolling through news on his phone between patient rounds, he came across an article about the mountain town's unique offer. The images of sun-drenched chalets and pristine alpine views stirred something in him, a longing for a different kind of life that he had been suppressing for years. Tired of city life in Basel, they moved to the town and renovated one of the empty chalets near the town center. Dr. Müller's arrival solved another critical problem, the lack of medical care in the region. He set up a small practice in a converted room of his chalet, serving not just Albanin but neighboring communities as well. Soon after, 2 more families followed. The Bergmans, a young couple with 3 children, opened a small tech startup that operated remotely. The Schmids, former teachers, brought new energy to the town's cultural life, organizing music festivals that drew visitors from across the canton. The old schoolhouse found a new purpose too. Though it couldn't reopen as a school yet, the community transformed it into a cultural center. Mary Weber started teaching traditional Swiss baking there twice a week, passing down recipes that had been in her family for generations. Lucas Zarin set up a digital learning hub in one of the classrooms, teaching coding to both children and adults. Even the church bell, which had fallen silent, found its voice again. In a touching gesture that bridged the old and new, Lucas designed a modern digital system to control the ancient bell, while Heinrich supervised the restoration of its historical mechanisms. Their collaborations symbolize how tradition and progress could work hand in hand. Lisa and Marco's love story reached a happy conclusion when they married in the town square under the newly restored church bell. Their wedding became a celebration of Albanin's revival, with both old residents and newcomers joining in traditional dances and feasting on David's fusion of classic Swiss cuisine. Emma Brunner's small community garden blossomed into the Albanin Sustainable Living Project, drawing environmental researchers and students from across Switzerland. Her efforts with local children grew into a meaningful after-school program, which played a key role in persuading the canton to reopen the town's school. Albanin's revival isn't just about financial incentives or increasing population numbers. It's about a community's determination to survive and thrive. Mayor Beat Joss sees it every day, longtime residents and newcomers working side by side to maintain hiking trails. Lisa observes neighbors helping each other clear snow during harsh winters. Ava experiences it each morning as she greets familiar faces at her store. The town's requirements may seem demanding, but they have a clear purpose. As Mayor Joss says, "We're not selling holiday homes, we're building a community." The 10-year commitment, significant investment, and citizenship rules are not just regulations, they're a pledge to belong to something greater. Years later, Albanin welcomed 5 new families, and the school reopened with a small primary class. Children's laughter filled the streets again, blending with the toll of the restored church bell. In a fast-paced world, Albanin offers something precious: the chance to join an authentic, lasting community built on trust, tradition, and shared purpose.